morning and welcome. You're still watching Power Breakfast right here on Citizen TV, and it's that time when you take a look at the headlines this morning, and today being Valentine's Day. We'll discuss that headline as well. Now, we are privileged to have Senator John Lonyangapuo with us from West Pokot County. Karibu sana. Next to him, Barak Muluka, political analyst. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Chris Omalo on my left, MP for Kiminini, and Njogu Barua, MP for Gishugu. Gentlemen, it's good to have you with us this lovely Tuesday morning. It's also Valentine's Day, and these are some of the headlines. So we cannot escape it. On the front page of the Daily Nation, it's there, love is in the air. It's Valentine's Day, and as lovers look forward to mushy moments, doctors are worried that Kenyans know so little about safe sex. Now, that's just one of the headlines. There's another one, very interesting one, and we'll be looking at it in a short while. But, gentlemen, what do you feel about Valentine's? Is it something you do engage in? We'll take a few moments just to lighten up the moment, then we discuss this heavier headlines. Senator.
Thank you. Valentine, you know, is those of us who are a bit who were born earlier, when some of these dates were not active in Kenya here, you really sometimes may not be very conscious to know and keep dates. So I want to wish everybody well on this day. When you look at this gentleman, it's not because we don't align ourselves with it, we don't know, but somehow we were those of us who were born in the early 60s, we don't know most of these things.
Yes. Luka, are you planning anything special today?
As you can see, I'm in a red necktie.
Oh yeah, really.
Coincidence.
But it's, as the senator says, pure coincidence.
Yes.
I think in a sense you could say love flows through my bloodstream. And that's why I'm in a red tie on Valentine's without thinking about it.
It just comes naturally.
It means that I give those I love all the time. And therefore I don't have to isolate a specific day and say this is the day of love.
Yes.
I love 365 days, 24 hours a day, 52 weeks. Love flows
24/7
in my bloodstream.
Very well said. Well, Chris Omalwa, of course, the gentleman on my right are a bit older, but you, I'm sure you planned something interesting today.
Absolutely, but Valentine has been there for years. It has nothing to do with the age. Maybe what Senator Lonyangapuo have said, that it depends on which region you come from. You know, maybe in West Pokot that we can understand. That maybe those years back, but the issue of Valentine has been there. Professor is very much aware. Maybe to do with culture, maybe you can say so. But I think we're happy. Personally, I'm happy, and despite my busy schedule, I expect to take my wife out.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
but in order to suggest that the Pokot don't know how to love.
He may wish to withdraw.
I think what Professor said is that where this thing became active just recently, not because of where it comes from. We all laugh, do know how to laugh. And this Valentine's Day, I understand, is not meant for intimate lovers only. You can make anybody your Valentine, and I think this is a high time as Kenyans took the opportunity to love one another and make this country a better place. In fact, from here, I may not be having a red tie, but somebody's working on it now. Actually, it was not by
so you get your red tie.
And from here, I'm going right to my constituency to take my flowers to Gishugu people. Then the evening, because my wife is very active and conscious about this and my children, I'll take them for a Valentine dinner.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. So Gishugu people expect flowers today from Mheshimiwa Njogu Barua.
Yes, yes.
Now, the other headline that has to do with Valentine's Day is on page 3 of the Daily Nation. Why it's a lonely day for atheist men. Now, atheists are worried they will spend Valentine's Day alone because single women in Kenya prefer religious men. Now, is this a positive thing, or what do you think?
I don't know. You see, I'm religious also, 365 days a year. So I don't know about the atheists and their predicament. but I can only sympathize with them. It's not my fault that I'm loved and they are not loved.
that Kenyan women prefer religious men says something about our society as well.
I think,
Senator.
Indeed, I think, as you know, Bernard here will tell you.
Barack. Bernard
Barack.
Like Obama.
Yeah, you're only missing Obama. For a long time, as you know, Kenya was a Christian nation. You know, the old constitution was like that, isn't it? The old constitution. So we grew up, and naturally, Africans, we are religious. We are religious by nature, whether Christian or even Muslim, and even those who don't believe, who are just culturally, in our culture also, we people are
Traditional
Christian,
religions, yes.
So for that reason, it will be odd actually. People like that, we will not even believe we have atheists in Kenya, but somehow now they are there.
Some pretenders.
Some pretenders, I mean.
Today they've actually received a headline in the papers.
No, they are just pretenders.
Chris Obalo, I know you're a staunch Catholic.
Absolutely.
What does this headline
and
make
that's
you
why
Staunch, you mean?
And that's why I was thinking of how do you operationalize this a religious person? You know, who is a religious person? I wish that description was there. From my Christian background, does it mean any church goer, or in this case as a Catholic, are we looking at the priests? We'll have wished to know further description, how that one has been operationalized, before maybe coming in to comment. But I'm not very sure that the issue of saying women prefer religious people, you know, it's because from the religious background as a Catholic, I'm saying priests, I look at them that way. And, you know, depending on the doctrine of the church, priests are people who have nothing to do with those other affairs. So that's why this headline needs to be interrogated further.
This is by atheists, those who do not believe in religion at all. They believe that God does not exist. Bona Njogu Barua, they say, this is a statement they sent to newsrooms yesterday. Atheists in Kenya, AIK, they express concern that single women have snubbed them, opting for men who believe in religion.
I think choices have consequences. They chose to be atheists. They have to deal with the situation of being not loved. Because Kenyans, most Kenyans like Barack Muruka, they are 24/7 love and actually in love. So if they want to be in love and be loved, let them join the love. And God is actually love, a real love indeed. So
is love.
Yeah, thanks for supporting me, Barack.
Choices do have consequences.
Choices do have consequences. So they have to deal with that situation. And if they don't be loved, then join us and they come and see the light.
Ladies and gentlemen, of course, today is Valentine's Day, or Lover's Day, if you may call it that. You go out and enjoy it, whichever way you may decide to. Let's move on now to other headlines this morning. And of course, the Senate resumes today after a 2-month break. We have Senator Lonyangapuo with us, and what do we expect? What's the biggest agenda now that you're back? Because now we know this is the last session before the election. Of course, I'm sure you must have a very packed agenda as a Senate.
Indeed, you are right. We have been on recess for nearly 2 months now, equally to our colleagues as well, National Assembly. And as you know, the most pressing needs in Kenya today are the issues that are current. The ravaging drought that is around, famine that is hitting people, the strikes that you are just seeing now, the doctor strike. We also have lecturer strike, and it is a shame that almost it's going now hitting 2 months now. Students have not been taught in universities, and many other challenges. And you also see today is also the last day for voter registration, and there must be a lot of scramble for people who have remained behind, and many other. And then we're also meeting to plan for our last lap as Senate. The agenda will be packed, and then you know of course now the calendar for which is full. So we have very many things that are going to start today, and I sit in the committee that decides the calendar and the issues. We are meeting at midday today. Then we start at 2:30. Yes.
Of course, as the Senator mentioned as well, and that's the other headline, that's the biggest headline probably in Kenya today. Today is the last day for voters registration, the mass voter registration, and as the IEBC said, there will be no extension this time round. Yesterday we witnessed typical Kenyan behavior, long queues, and why do we always do that?
It's a very difficult phenomenon to understand, even to appreciate. And even more baffling is that anyone should be calling for an extension. That most of the time the clerks have been sitting there, they've been waiting, nobody has been turning up. Then suddenly we are saying let us extend. To the extent that there are people who may not have had their ID cards. I think that would make some sense. But you cannot go on with this process forever. In fact, the entire excitement about people being marshaled and being whipped to go out and register as voters, I kind of smell a fish. It's a little bit fishy. We have heard of strange goings on in Karura and in other places where some people are saying that they were doing mock registration. That these things are suspect, and I think that at some point the register should close, it should be audited, we should have the opportunity to examine it, inspect it, and satisfy ourselves that we have a register we can believe in.
Yes, Chris Omalo, of course, now the debate will shift from now marshalling supporters to go register as voters to now looking at the numbers. Now as we come to the end of the voter registration, from your side of the political divide, are you confident that now you have enough support heading to the elections, according to what you've seen over the last 4 weeks?
Yeah, before that, one thing I want to say is I want to request the IBC to extend this voter registration, if possible, maybe by 2 weeks. Yesterday I was in my constituency, and if you look at the numbers turning up for the purposes of issuance of IDs, we've had a problem in this country when it comes to giving out IDs. Some regions it's been streamlined very well, and some regions they've been disadvantaged. Till about 2 weeks ago, when His Excellency the President gave a directive that IDs must be processed within a time frame of three days. And this is the time we are seeing many Kenyans standing up for this ID. That tells you they never had the IDs, and it explains maybe why the voter registration was low. I went to my constituency, I saw thousands queuing. They said Mheshimiwa didn't have an opportunity. So this is the only time we're trying to maximize. And we also call upon IBC. These people who had already gone for voter registration, they've been having something called the waiting card. When you read the Elections Law, the Elections Act, it says anybody with a certificate awaiting the IDs, it should be allowed for voter registration. I have asked the IBC over this matter. The IBC have not been allowing people with waiting cards to register as voters. But the other day, because it's provided for in the law, they're supposed to. I'm told it's now been accepted, and now people have started maybe registering using those waiting cards. So the issue here is the two are mutually inclusive.
Yes, I do understand that.
So that's where the problem is. That's why,
you
know, the issue is IBC, I do understand that they have very strict timelines as per the elections law, and by now they are supposed to close the register for purposes of voter auditing that register. You know, we've been having the green book, the red book. You know, they need to integrate, to consolidate, so that we can have a one clear, clean voter registration. So what we are calling upon is we are requesting them to extend. But as far as I'm concerned, in my area, so far the numbers are okay. I'm not worried at all. But however, I had wished more people to come and register. So we are requesting for IBC, if it's possible, even if it's just an extension of 1 week. And this rush of coming the last minute, it is not their wish. People didn't have the IDs. The numbers are overwhelming.
Brian Njogu Barua, do you agree with this request for an extension to the voter registration exercise?
I think first and foremost, I may say I don't agree. Not because it's not necessary or it's not good, but because we also have some timelines that we must follow and adhere to. I would like to say, in my own opinion, the people who I represent, it would be tragic even to anticipate or even to think of pushing the election, shifting even by a few minutes from August 8. Kenyans are set to have that election on 8th of August and make a new decision, or whatever it is. So changing by another 2 weeks means that you push all the other milestones by a similar number of days, which is not going to be good for this country. I think the question you asked Chris here is that whether his numbers are good. I don't think you meant Kiminini, because Kiminini, even if you have 10,000 voters, they can still elect an MP.
Exactly.
They can still elect an MC, or even Trans Nzoia. If you have 50,000 votes, can have a governor and a senator. The issue is, have you given opportunity to as many Kenyans as possible to exercise their democratic right and be part of the decision making of their own future, or the future they like to have? The other issue is obvious. We have very serious competition at the presidential level.
And
So
that's where the numbers will
that's where the numbers will count.
Yes.
In Gishogo, when you have 5,000 votes, you can still decide who will be their next MP.
Yes.
So the issue is, the question the way I got is, do you have enough numbers from the NASA point of view,
for your
or
presidential
for a
candidate.
candidate, or do you have enough? I mean, from the Jubilee side of view. That's the question you asked.
Do you have enough numbers for your
So that one I cannot
Jubilee
answer
side?
because I don't
For
know.
the Jubilee side?
I don't know because I've not looked at the numbers. But the first thing,
No, but the first 3 weeks,
the first
surely
thing,
it must have reflected even the fourth
the first weeks, 3 or 2 weeks, across the country, the voter registration was too slow. It's just the last 2 days where we have got long queues, and we expect to have more and longer queues today.
Yes.
And what is interesting is that what you are closing is the mass voter registration, and you have seen the trend of the principles from across the political coalitions. Like, I've not seen Raila Odinga in Central Kenya asking for votes. You have to ask the question, why?
It's an ethnic census.
We're not asking for votes now.
It's
No, sorry.
We're
Okay,
asking
fine.
for
That
votes.
means, I'm
But
saying, you get what I mean.
It used to
It's
be
a vote.
expected from the
What I'm
theory
saying
of a
is,
tyranny of numbers that
fine.
you're going to sit down and calculate and start looking at your
What I'm
numbers.
saying, if I may correct what Chris is telling me, we did not say Raila Odinga
Nor have
in
we-
Central
nor have we
Kenya.
seen,
I mean, there's chance. I'm coming to that,
nor
my
have we
friend.
seen-
Okay, fine. In Central Kenya, mobilizing people to vote. We did not
To
think
register.
Not to
to
vote, to
register.
register.
Sorry, to register. We did not seen our principals from Jubilee going to
Yes.
like Nyanza, asking people to register as voters. So that question must be asked by Kenyans. Are we a divided nation? And what do we do to make sure that as we go to vote, we are moving towards extended unity as opposed to having us drift further and further apart as we move on?
I want to correct some,
do you-
some assumption that you're saying that when we give more extension for voter registration, it's automatically we'll have to extend the date for voting. That is very wrong. That's a very wrong. You know, in terms of activities, there are some things can be done in parallel. So it does not mean when you request IBC to extend maybe voter registration for 1 week or 2 weeks, it will eat into the time that the 8th August must also be extended by the 2 weeks. I don't want him to, you know, he's my friend, but I don't want him to continue misleading the public.
Okay.
We
I think-
still
I
have
think
time,
before he goes-
in line with the provisions of the
No,
law,
no, no, no,
we
let's bring
still
this
have
conversation
time,
to
we
this
can
side.
extend by 1 week
Let's
and
bring this
so,
conversation.
just
but
I
the
think
date
Barua, please.
remains
Just
August.
one
Senator,
Fred.
this extension that the NASA or the opposition are requesting for, do you think it's informed by the kind of numbers they are seeing, that probably they're not so comfortable with the numbers they're seeing probably for the presidential candidate, and they think maybe an extension of a week or so would help them?
First of all, personally, I am of the view, and many Kenyans are, that first of all it was a mistake to dramatize this voter registration to the extent that we have seen, that the whole head of state would be told to move and go and campaign. A whole leader of opposition would be camping in his backyard. Doing what? Telling people to come and register
As voters.
as voters. 2013 and prior to that time, there was no euphoria. We never saw Kibaki and Raila during the Grand Coalition government running around telling people to go and do this. But anyhow and somehow we still got a president, isn't it? Whatever number of Kenyans that will be offering themselves to vote will determine a leader. And don't be misled by having as many people coming to register now. It may not necessarily translate to mean that they will vote.
Or vote for you.
Or vote for you. So, and lastly, again, what he mentioned is very key, where I am concentrating in my village, trying to ask people to come. And then, what will you do with those villagers when they come as voters? What will you really? What are you trying to show? So this contest has not been. It is showing something that there is a contest, and that we are trying to show might for what? Because all those in Nyanza will have to vote for a president. Some will vote for Uhuru, some will vote for Raila, or if Raila stands, I mean, if NASA chooses their candidate, and vice versa in every part of Kenya. So I would ideally say we did not choose, we have not handled this thing very well. And lastly, I would, now that we are in it anyway, there are so many Kenyans that have not voted, including my own people, who route has driven them into Uganda. I would request that we extend for 5 days to Sunday, this coming Sunday.
So you're also requesting for
yes, so that we have a few of those people who are affected, and then we just satisfy, because they have requested that we are now retreating to come back home, and so on and so on. So it is, and these new IDs, mine last Wednesday they carried over 7,000 of them to Nairobi here, and I'm told they have now been taken back home to dish out to the owners. And you know, West Pokot is massive. You can't reach all of them at one go. So it's something that may need to be considered, but not elongated.
Okay. Finally, Bwana Barack Muluka, on this particular issue of voter registration, do you think we're still suffering a hangover from this theory by Professor
Tiring of numbers,
Mutahi, the tiring of numbers, and that's what is propelling all this dramatic, as a senator called it, a drama in terms of marshalling people to come out and register.
Yes, and it's an ethnic tyranny of numbers, where people have been saying, both the president and the CORD leader, Raila Odinga, they have been saying that come out and register in big numbers so that you can vote for me. And they've been talking, using the words, our people, you, our people, my people, meaning that they are speaking straight and direct to the tribe. When you find the people at the very top bifurcating the nation in that kind of manner, that you are creating this binary division among the people in the country, headed to an election that promises to be very divisive, one gets very worried.
Okay. I think, it's time for us to take a break. We'll come back and I'll give you gentlemen an opportunity to discuss that as well, because we also need to talk about other things. President is doing a good job. That's according to a survey. He has a very good approval ratings as we speak. I also need to discuss the issue of the doctor's strike, because union officials just spent their first night in prison. Of course, they began their 30-day jail sentences for contempt of court, but that when Power Breakfast returns.